final fam. So I'm going to talk to you about a movie that I watched recently, Renfield. Now, I love vampire movies, and this horror dark comedy was the perfect thing. So Renfield stars Nicolas Cage, which has been in practically everything. I grew up watching Nicolas Cage. It also stars Nicolas Hoult, who you've seen from X-Men, the First Class, and also he's been in movies like Warm Bodies and Jack and the Beanstalk. Also, it stars the actress slash comedian Awkwafina. Now, basically, this movie is about this guy named Renfield. He is a servant to Count Dracula, and Count Dracula is, of course, played by the famous Nick Cage. Now, this movie had everything. It had gore. It had a little hint of romance. It had action. It was funny. There were some moments where I just burst out laughing. Now, the gore is over the top. So if you're used to seeing movies like Kill Bill or maybe even Wreck, then you'll understand what I mean by over the top. Now, I'm not going to give you any spoilers because I don't want to spoil it for you. I really want you to go and check out this film. But overall, I would definitely give it a 7 out of 10. And this movie was definitely worth rewatching. I know I'm gonna watch it over again simply because I really and truly enjoyed it thoroughly. Now, this movie is forever going to be solidified into my consciousness somewhere because I went to see this movie by myself. This was my first film that I've ever seen by myself. I normally do not go to the movies, so it was a great experience. I got my popcorn, I got my drink, and I had the theater to myself. Like, it felt like I was baller, like I was rich. I sat there and nobody else came in. I was the only one in the theater, and I got to exclusively sit and watch this movie alone. And I can honestly tell you it was one of the greatest feelings in the world, and I'm definitely going to be venturing back to the movie theater to check out other films as well. So Renfield has a special place in my heart because it was, you know, I was there alone and I got to really experience and enjoy the film for what it was. As always, if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so this video can get out to others. Thank you so much for your support. So I really enjoy Nick Cage as an actor. Many would say that he's really overdone and he probably needs to retire, but I think he can still bring stuff to the silver screen. Nick has his own presence about him. I think when he dives into a character, you're going to get these goofy stares. You're going to get him doing a lot of physical acting and physical comedy, and I really enjoy that about him and his films. And in Renfield, he definitely made Dracula. Like, he did such a great job as Dracula. He was fun, he was witty, he was creepy, and you didn't just get these goofy factors. He was intimidating on screen as Dracula, and I really admired that. Even though it was more like a spoof of Dracula, you did still get that darkness about him and exactly why he's in the predicament that he's in and why he's so reliant upon Renfield as his servant. So the movie itself was definitely well put together. The storyline was good and easy to follow. It wasn't all over the place. It gave you one solid plot and it stuck with that, and then you were introduced to other characters throughout the film. But the main characters, of course, was Nick Cage, Nicolas Hoult, and Awkwafina, and I like how they all intertwined with each other. Awkwafina played a police officer. This is not a spoiler because she was shown in the trailer, and she's trying to assist Renfield, you know, shed his toxic relationship with his master Dracula, and I really enjoyed that about the film. It also gave you some history, a little bit about Dracula, and of course more history about Renfield, which I enjoyed. The movie itself from start to finish was a nice build to the arc, and also the ending was decently wrapped. There may be another one, we don't know. It honestly, from the way the movie ended, it's up in the air on that one, so you could decide. But the movie itself, I like the action. The action sequences actually really got me into watching the movie because I remember seeing the trailer and I saw Nicolas Hoult like do these moves, and I'm pretty sure it was a stunt double, but he did these moves and it was really nice, like martial arts time with like some parkour or, you know, whatever type of style that was. So I personally saw that and was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. But it's for everybody. I think if you have a girl that likes action and she's okay with gore, then it would be a great film to take your significant other or somebody with you to watch that. They'll definitely enjoy those moments with the action. Again, there was comedy. The comedy was a dark humor. Of course there were funny moments, but if you can't deal with gore and comedy mixed with that, then this is probably not the right movie for you because the gore level was up there. It was pretty gross in some sequences, but it was good, all in good fun. The movie made you really empathize with Renfield and his predicament. even though it was this supernatural or paranormal thing with his relationship with, of course, Count Dracula, who's a vampire, it still gave you some of those human elements that we have today. If you work with a really crappy boss, like, you're getting the same type of moodlets, you're getting the same type of vibe, you know, from having a boss that can be overbearing and very demanding. And I like how they relayed that in the movie, and it was plainly said. And you saw Renfield actually going to, you know, seek the assistance from a self-help group to try to build himself up emotionally, make himself more confident, and be able to finally break away from being under Dracula's thumb. And I really thought that was a neat human aspect to add in the film, because you're able to relate to it as the viewer, you know, as a person in the audience that's watching. So you have the talents of Nicolas Cage. I mean, he's been in so many films, from Leaving Las Vegas to the movie Next, and, you know, he's done paranormal type movies before. We saw him in Wicker Man, and that movie is weird, by the way, but we saw him in Wicker Man. We've seen him in other films, so it was really nice for him to get back to some of his horror roots, or to see him in a horror film again. So that was a nice thing. And I thought that the casting was spot on, especially for Nick Cage being Dracula. At first, when I heard of it, before I even saw the trailer, I was like, how is this gonna be? But I know Nick Cage is a good enough actor to be able to pull something like this off. And I think that the role was so fitting of him, and he threw elements of himself into the film, which I thought was pretty neat. He's really, it seems like he can poke fun at himself. He dives into his roles and he takes it very seriously. Nicolas Hoult was also complimentary to Nick Cage's character in the film. Again, there was empathy there with Nicolas Hoult's character. There was a little bit of empathy there with Dracula, or Nick Cage's character, but you understand why he is the big bad. You understand why he is what he is. And I like how that was reflected in the film. Now, Awkwafina adds the element of comedy to the film. Nicolas Hoult, I thought he did a good job relaying that comedy, and so did Nick Cage. So it was a nice marrying of the characters and their humor. It all worked so well and meshed so well together. And I think Awkwafina added that little sass, that little spice that we needed for the film. And she was this, you know, no nonsense type of cop, but she has these jokes, and she was just, I thought she was such a good asset to the film, or a good addition to the film. And I think with Nicolas Hoult's characters, usually you kind of underestimate them. I noticed that that's the type of roles that he's been getting, the characters that are underestimated. They're like the underdogs. Nobody really expects them to, you know, come out of nowhere and shine. And I really like that about some of the characters that he's picked up. We've seen that relative to Jack and the Beanstalk. We've seen that relative to Beast in X-Men First Class. So I thought that it was pretty interesting for Nick to be picking up these types of roles. Those characters that he gets does pull on your heartstrings. And also in Warm Bodies, like, I never thought that I would feel sorry for a zombie in a movie, but that movie captured that. And I think it did the same thing in this film, where you sort of feel sorry for Nick Cage's character, the Dracula, and you sort of course, you're feeling sorry and empathizing for Renfield and his human emotions that he's having with his overbearing boss. One thing I did enjoy about Renfield, besides the main cast, which is Awkwafina and Nick Cage and Nicolas Hoult, I really did like the side characters. They were funny. The ones from the self-help support group, I thought that they were hilarious. They each brought their own vibe. Definitely some comedians in there that had their own little thing going on, their own little banter with, like, Nick Cage and with Renfield. I thought that was really cute, that they were able to incorporate that. I really think some of it might be ad-lib too as well, because it felt so natural. It didn't even feel scripted. It looked like they were just chatting with each other, which I enjoyed. So I really liked the film. Honestly, I don't have anything negative to say about it. The ending, to me, it wrapped up everything in a nice, neat little bow. Honestly, I don't think they should go and do another movie or, you know, prequel or anything for Renfield. I think Renfield, the way it was, is perfect. I don't think it should be touched again. I hate when people go back and try to stir the pot and see if they could find, you know, pull sequels or prequels out of movies. I think this movie is a good standalone film, and it should not be anything else. I think it was nicely executed, and it gave a fresh spin on Dracula that we haven't really seen in films before. And actually, you know what? Let me not say that. Let me back up. It gave a fresh spin on Dracula. However, there were some old school elements from the original Dracula, played by Bela Lugosi, that was incorporated in this particular film. And I noticed that. I like how they even had a little nod to the old, you know, Bela Lugosi films, and I really enjoyed that about it. So it gave like this classic feel with this modern day vibe. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about when you see the film, but I think when you see that, you as a fan, if you're a fan of Dracula, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And I really like that they captured that little bit in the film for fans. I think it was beautifully done. Honestly, what I would love to see with the same director is, since he has this now knack, I guess, for trying to incorporate some of these old classic movies and making them more modern, I would really love to see some of the old school movies like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein.
It's alive!
If he did those, I think I would be thrilled and like running to the theater to watch it, because I'm curious to know what he could do with these particular characters. If he made us have empathy for Dracula, or he made us have empathy for Dracula's servant, which was doing all these bad things, like, he can make us have empathy for Frankenstein. And we've seen that before in the older films, where Frankenstein was created and, you know, he was out on the lake. I don't know if you saw in the original black and white film with this little girl. And that scene alone sits with me to this day. That was insane. But I think if this director tried to, because I hate remakes, I don't like the idea of a remake. I think that they can put a fresh spin on some of these old movies. Just write a new script. Do something fresh and different with it. And they did that, and they definitely captured that in Renfield, where, you know, you have vampire servant, you have that the archetype definitely for Dracula, like he runs shit, and you have Renfield as a servant, humble and apologetic. So you have those two things, and I would definitely love to see what the director would do with a film like Frankenstein. I think that he could give the same flair and the same flavor, incorporating those classic moments, and also bringing it into the, you know, the future, bringing it to current, making it more modern. So I think that that would be a cool thing to see. I'm not sure, but let me know in the comment section what you think about this, and if you think this particular director should, you know, pull from some of the classics and have that stylized like Renfield, to see how that would work. I'm curious to know your thoughts about that. But yes, really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend you run out and go see it. Check it out in theaters. I think the experience of it all being in the theater, because I know we like to watch movies at home since the Rona hit. We want to sit at home, but go to the theater. You know, go out and check it out. It was fun. I really enjoyed myself. Definitely let me know in the comments if you've seen Renfield. If you haven't seen it, I did not put any spoilers in here, so let me know your thoughts, or if you're going to check out the movie. And I will definitely see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.